Steve, I'm not reading this whole article, but I want to show you just some of it. I don't know if you're on an empty stomach, full stomach. Um, it's titled "The Ascension of Bernie Sanders," and it's written by Maureen Dowd, who you know is infamous for the New York Times for writing fluff bull. So the Ascension of Bernie and the picture showing Bernie, with a real action shot there. So you already kind of know what you're getting. And obviously, when they're doing things like the Ascension of Bernie, let's remember that Biden has basically backtracked on every single policy that if Bernie was so ascendant, some of it might be getting through by now. So I'll read you a little bit of it. Maureen Dowd writes, I want to talk to Bernie about Balenciaga, no idea who that is, and Britney and Dua Lipa, Shy Carrie Richardson and Joe Manson's houseboat, and whether he prefers red or white horseradish on his gefilte fish, and the state of capitalism and the absurd price of a Birkin bag. So right out of the gate, a lot of nonsense. But we settle into a retro yellow booth at Henry's Diner, and I will put out a thick sheaf of questions. Eyeing it suspiciously, he asks with that booming Brooklyn accent, "You giving a speech?" So far, it's not so objectionable, but we're getting to it. At 79, Bernie Sanders is a man on a mission, laser focused on a list that represents trillions of dollars in government spending that he deems essential. When I stray into other subject, the senator jabs his fingers at his piece of paper or waves it in my face like Van Helsing warding off Dracula with a cross. Quote, Maureen, let me just tell you what we're trying to do here, he says. We're working on what I think is the most consequential piece of legislation for working families since the 1930s. Not sure which legislation he's talking about. I sure hope it's not the infrastructure bill. Sanders, long a wilderness prophet in Washington, a man who wrote a memoir bragging about being an outsider, admits that it's strange to be a key member of the establishment. As the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, the Democratic Socialist is now pulling the levers in the control room. So I'm going to stop you there, Steve. And I think this is important because to me, as somebody who, is independent media, but definitely knows about corporate media, I kind of understand media gaslighting. What they're trying to do here, it seems to me, is portray an image, not just to Bernie, but other progressives, that drop your political arms, you'll have more influence to actually achieve, quote, big things if you work with the establishment, like Biden, like the Democratic Party. Because we always see this manufacturing within the media, Steve. Oh, Biden sweeping 1.9 trillion COVID relief bill with the infrastructure bill. Adjectives like I'm just making it up, but adjectives like game changing, things like that. Really dressing up things that are either temporary relief, not structural relief, to be revolutionary. And now, and it's not just with this piece in the New York Times. I just did a Substack piece showing other pieces that showed Bernie the power broker, Bernie the ascendant, Bernie Biden's ear. They're trying to make it seem like, oh no, Bernie, you had it wrong all along. Progressives, you had it wrong all along. Drop your arms. You'll get more of your bold change done working within the confines. Are you reading it that way, or is it just me?
So let's just be very fair. A lot changed as a result of COVID-19. No matter whether they did the bold stuff they wanted to do or not, it's almost impossible to put that genie back in the bottle, so to speak. Okay. And when you think about what we learned over COVID-19, a lot of the things that Bernie Sanders previously said, we all know are real. We knew they were real then, and we know they're real now. So it's a very convenient role for the establishment to act like suddenly like, hey man, we've always been here, man. What are you talking about? It's great, man. Come join the party. And reality is that this piece by Maureen Dowd would have been much better written in 2015, 2016 when he was running against Hillary, or even when he was running against Biden, instead of posthumously the person formerly known as Bernie Sanders, if they would have written it when it would have mattered, this might have been a decent piece. I might have wanted to hear about what he had to say at breakfast with her. But right now, I think what they're doing is exactly that. They're gaslighting us, but they're gaslighting us in a way that's saying, hey, listen, we can't change what we learned in COVID. So let's act like we're all in this together. Let's act like we're suddenly all on board. And the reality is a lot of things have really, truly changed from John Yarmouth and his understanding that we can spend till the cows come home. He finally realized it, said it on C-SPAN. We're going to keep banging on that one. So this is kind of like them trying to act like, hey, man, we've been here all along. Come on in, Bernie. We got you guys. Hey, drop your arms. Like you said, we're all in this together. We're all going to win together. And reality is that they're not being honest at all in any way, shape, or form. And anybody with half a brain and half a willingness to be honest realizes that sadly Bernie's being used once again as a means of getting to progressives. And I suppose it'll probably work with most of them because everybody's desperate for a little bit of hope right now. And if Bernie can provide them hope, they're going to grab it. Doesn't matter whether it's, hope and change, waffles, whatever, they're going to buy it because they want not to be miserable. They want not to be literally on the edge of a stool ready to hang themselves. So any good news is good news, so to speak. And I think that's the winning ticket for them. They recognize how desperate we are. And this is a great way of saying, hey, Bernie's joined us. Come on through the door. We got a room for you too.
Right.
And sad, very sad.
And I want to read a little bit more because it gets worse. Sanders is, Colin, if you could bring this up. Sanders is a purist who doesn't like to acknowledge how intertwined the personal and political can be. Yet he and Biden have a bond that could have a profound effect on the lives of Americans. While the two men disagree on a lot of things, the former Senate colleagues and 2020 rivals share a mutual respect. Sanders has easy access to the White House. It is a big difference from the way he was treated in 2016 by Clinton. Not only did Hillary's henchmen run a nasty campaign and try to rig the primaries, Hillary herself would later say about him in 2020 documentary, nobody likes him, nobody wants to work with him. Sanders says he gives the president a lot of credit for looking at the budget not just as numbers on a spreadsheet, but as a chance to reshape American identity. So, first of all, this kind of reminds me, and folks, smash the like button, 200 people watching, let's get it to more people. This kind of reminds me, in 6th grade, you didn't have to raise your hand anymore for the bathroom pass. They just said, if you have to go, go. Just don't disturb or whatever like that. But you were still kind of stuck in class learning, what they wanted you to learn, which is, the American education system, which basically doesn't actually teach you anything about America. That was actually social studies from what I remember. So essentially, they're trying to spin Bernie's influence or power in essentially having a free pass to the White House and being, that's a big win for progressives, even though that pass comes with really nothing behind it. I mean, it's not all on Bernie, but the reality is, if Bernie was so ascendant, if he was so influential, you would probably think in that COVID relief bill, you would have had a very big fight led by Biden to get that $15 minimum wage included. And if Bernie was so influential, that fight would have been led by Biden, leveraging Bernie to get out there in the media, get out there on the Senate floor, call out the Democratic Party holdouts against the bill, and there were 8 or 9 of them, against the $15 minimum wage, led by Biden. Instead, we got, the parliamentarian and this nonsense. So it seems to me either Bernie's more naive than I thought he was. I don't go into fraud and sellout. People could say that if they want. I don't really think that's constructive. But is he this naive to think that having a free pass, not a free hall pass to the White House and getting Biden on the phone and Biden being one of the few to invite him out to dinner when he was first in the Senate at all has anything to do with actual structural change, whether it's healthcare, education, climate? It just seems to me maybe Bernie is being, seduced in a way by finally being looked at as a power broker, and as a result, maybe more willing to take the incremental change that he always railed against.
You know, Bernie has always been dubbed the Amendment King, right? So incrementalism is not something new to Bernie Sanders. He's been used to playing this game forever. You know, I'm torn between two worlds, right? Because obviously I have no trust in the Democratic Party, period. I mean, but dealing with things as they are and looking at them as they are. What I've always seen with Bernie Sanders is he's a guy that will morph to the situation. Even though his message will always stay the same, he will morph to the situation. So if all he can get is 3 inches in a loaf of bread, he'll take 3 inches in a loaf of bread. And so in this particular case, to all of our chagrin, we would love someone that was like the real Bernie Sanders that we all thought we had, that we all rallied behind, saw millions of people around the country rally for. We'd love that Bernie to be in the White House, that Bernie leading the charge. But that Bernie was swept away. And now this Bernie, this current Bernie, is back to being the Amendment King. He's back to taking whatever he can get. And so, you know, I'm not one to call him a sellout. I'm one to call him a politician. And as a politician, he's playing the percentages. He's trying to get what he can get, because clearly you can see this. I think anybody that keeps their eyes open can see this. Progressives literally tuck tail when they don't get their way. When Bernie didn't get in, they didn't keep fighting. A lot of them checked out. Now, we were in the middle of a pandemic for sure, but you could see lots and lots of people just splinter off. That was the end of the revolution. It was all about one man. Can't change the world without him, so I'm done. And then they check, oh, I'm done with this whole thing, and then they check out. When in reality, our numbers needed to grow with or without Bernie Sanders. So I think that Bernie is being Bernie. He's being the same Bernie he's been for the last 40 years. And I don't think that's going to change. And he'll probably retire from his perch with that same mindset.
Right.
So I'm not interested in him so much. I'm interested in how we process that information. That's what I'm interested in.